All right, hey you guys and gals, wherever you might be, let us know where you are. Happy holidays to you, and good evening, afternoon, or night, wherever you are. Let us know in the chat where you are. I see 4 likes. Thank you. We haven't even done anything, and you already like it, and that for some reason does help. So if you guys can add that in there. We are giving you our final set of tips and our final critiques for 2022. Isn't that amazing? We're going to be moving into our new year really soon with a bunch of cool stuff and having a lot of fun. So shoot us a text in there, a message, let us know where the heck you are. There's Andrew in El Paso. I bet it's a little cold there, isn't it? It can get cold in El Paso. Okay, well, while you guys are doing that, and Sue from Sun Valley, beautiful place. I'm sure you're having an amazing weather there. It's just, I'm envious. Okay, you guys, well, listen, we're just going to dive in. We got some stuff to do today. I want to give you some tips here in a minute, but first of all, let's just thank our sponsor, Bay Photo Lab, and you can get 15% off on anything. That's really cool. You can just, it says anything. Anything means anything. And use this promo code 15BAY. That's really cool. So get something. 15% off is a really good deal. And they are a great sponsor. We love these guys. I use them all the time. They're very customer oriented. They're very oriented towards photographers. You will get the help that you need, and you can print something and put it on your wall, and that's going to be awesome. Okay. Do that after the show. All right, let's talk about photography here. I heard a podcast yesterday. It was not a recent one, but it was with Neil Young, who is a fantastic artist, musician, and it was by Terry Gross on Fresh Air. I like her style of interviewing. I've actually learned some things from her. But one of the things he mentioned about his learning guitar that I thought was really applicable to photography or any art form is this. He said, it's really important to go deep and find kind of the depths of your art form. And he said one of the ways that he did that was by stop thinking. Like, don't think about what you're doing with the guitar. Just play. That's really applicable to photography. You do not want this computer going clickety, 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 getting in the way of your inspiration. Very important. Even when we visualize something, we're not doing it from a kind of a thinking level. We're just, boom, what do I think? What do I think? See, we kind of use those words, but what do I envision? What do I see as the photograph? And boom. That's really important. Turn that computer off. I call it getting in the zone. I talk about it in my books, and I talk about it in videos. When you get into the zone, you're seeing photographs. And they don't just come out automatically. You can have an on-off switch on this. I don't know how you are, but I know when I'm on and I'm seeing photographs, or I'm not. I'm just walking around being a tourist somewhere. I just don't see anything. Nothing pops out at me. And there is that little micro switch that you have to find in yourself. Like, what is it that allows you to just be the artist that you are? And one of the huge things, so we're going to talk a little bit about composition. This is from this book, which is available on Amazon. You should get it if you don't already have it. It's available as an Audible as well. You can listen to it. But if you do that, you got to have either a copy of the book itself or as a Kindle, because you got to be able to see the photographs. I mean, they did a good job, the narrator, of translating everything and describing what the image is, but you really need to have this. So in here, there's a second part of the book which is about mood lines, and mood lines are emotions. Like, how do you get that emotional content into your photograph? That's what's going to make it pop. Keep this in mind as I critique your photographs. How do you, as an artist, as a photographer, bring about an emotional connection for your viewer? Because without that, it's sort of like serving food that tastes okay, but it doesn't cause a wow. Like, we had a meal yesterday in Sausalito, California, right on the edge of the San Francisco Bay, looking across to San Francisco. And now the view itself was mind-blowing. I mean, you're here on the water, you're looking right out across the bay, and there's San Francisco. But the food caused a wow factor for us. There was a connection. There was something that happened that wasn't just, wow, this is, okay, interesting food. It was really caused us both, my wife and I, to comment on this. And that's what you want with your photographs. You want people to comment. You want them to express some connection there. That is your goal with composition. And you can use these mood lines, which you should know, and you should use them, because a mood is an emotion. And there's a whole bunch of them. They're all positive and negatives of the same idea. In other words, so here you have, this is an active mood line. See how this guy crossing the water, you see that zigzag up there? It looks like a lightning bolt. That brings about the feeling of activity, not being passive, but active. Now, on the next page, we get the counterpoint of that, which is passive. A passive mood is flat. You see that flat line there? That's Lake Tahoe, and it's really flat. And you're trying to bring about that feeling of passiveness. Okay. If you were, I use this example in the book, if you were trying to send home a photograph of how your vacation, you're just out doing stuff, and it's like this and that, and you're surfing and you're water skiing and you're diving and you're doing all this activity, and you send back a picture that looks like this, it does not equate. You want to have your mood actually matching the narrative. So that's the thing I want you to remember, and I want you to think about in terms of composition. You're using the tools of composition, you're using your camera, you're using your processing, all in one direction, which is to tell a story that has an emotional impact. Unless you want to take snapshots. Now, I don't think you're here because you want to become a better snapshotter. I think you're here because you do want to up your game and tell better stories and have that connection, that emotional connection. By the way, let's just mention this right here, Jared. You guys, this is the last sale of the year. I'm not kidding. We're not going to have any more sales. And what's the deal at this point, Jared? How do they do it, and what do they get?
Our deal is 75% off on all courses and
Ouch.
bundles. And all you have to use is code HOLIDAY22 at checkout. So this is a really cool deal, and we just wanted to do something special as a, thank you to all of you for a wonderful 2022, and looking forward to a really amazing 2023.
And you can get them for yourself. You could give it to your whoever it is on your list that you haven't decided what to give them yet. That's the beauty of digital. You can just send them an email and a link, and voila, you got a present for them. Okay, that's all this stuff I'm talking about, as far as composition, is in the courses. It's in my books, but it's visually in the courses. And you see me in my composition course going out and showing you examples of how I saw these mood lines, these various lines, and I captured them. It's good to have an example, right? I mean, it really helps. I know that's important in teaching, is not just to talk about stuff, but to actually show you how it's done, show you what I was doing, show you also what my process is, in terms of visualizing it. So that's all in the course, in the composition course. You should definitely have that. You might as well grab the whole bundle. So, okay, let's get down to our business here. I see a comment from Mike. I thought I'd just pop this over here. Mike, thank you. I really get motivated watching your videos and reading your works. What is AYP Insider? Jared, can you answer that question?
So that's yeah, so that was a membership we were working on. It kind of fell a little bit to the wayside because we were working on a lot of other different projects. But I think that we're hoping to, I think, bring that back, maybe do a little bit more with that in 2023. We have recently moved platforms. If you are in any of our courses, you'll know that, and that's kind of opened up a lot of new opportunities. So I think we're going to be really re-exploring. You're going to see a lot of changes in 2023. And when I say changes, I mean like new content. We're going to be coming out with a ton of new content and all kinds of stuff for you guys. So anyway, so we're really excited. So I think AYP Insider is one of those things that we want to look into.
Consider yourself an insider right now. Thank you, Mike, for reading my books. And Grace in San Francisco. Yeah, we were in San Francisco yesterday. I love going to San Francisco. As a kid, I grew up in the Bay Area here, and it was always a big deal. One of the things I used to do was there was a big camera store in San Francisco called Brooks Cameras, and it was just an incredible place to go to find equipment. I remember buying an enlarger there. You know what an enlarger is. All sorts of chemicals and different things. It was like a mini version of B&H. Unfortunately, it's no longer there. If it is, it's really downsized. B&H has taken over this role. But it was a really cool thing to go to San Francisco, come back with some cool equipment. Okay, well, let's dive over to looking at your guys' stuff here. And the first photograph, I don't even need to be told whose this is. I know that's Sue. And
yep, our good friend Sue from Sun Valley, Idaho.
Yeah. So Sue, I'm a big fan. It's interesting, but there's the dog is looking the other way. I'm going to be straightforward. I don't have an emotional connection to it. It's like a photograph of part of a story, and that's that kind of linking or transitional photograph that Dan Milner calls it. There's basically three types of photographs that I'm aware of. Okay, we can kind of break things into three categories. One is just showing what happened. Okay, a photograph of something, and you could call that a snapshot is one way of terming it, or a kind of you're just reproducing what you saw in front of you. And that's exactly where photography originally started out. The second type of photograph, and there's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of times we want to just record what we saw. The second type is it fits into a bigger story, and that we call a linking photograph or a transitional photograph. And that's what I see here. This is part of maybe the next photograph, we see another dog running towards it, or it runs towards a deer or something. There's some other part to this story. And then kind of the one that we're always after is that one that is a standalone photograph with emotional impact. So this tells me a part of a story. I'm kind of waiting for the rest of it, which is fine, as long as you do tell me the rest of the story. Okay, who's next?
All right, we've got this one from Christy, and she calls this, she commented layers, and that this was taken in Prescott, Arizona.
We're always going to have our eyes drawn to warm tones here. A sunset. That's what a sunset is. It's warm because the sun is on a lower angle. I mean, it's interesting, the physics of it. Sun is straight overhead, you're going to get very blue light. And as it deflects through the atmosphere, you're getting that warm light. Okay, so this is a photograph that has the scene set, but there's no center point of interest for me. There's no point for my eye to land and go, whoa. That's really important in a photograph. It's important in writing as well. It's kind of important in every form of art, is to have a center of interest that you're going towards, your eye is drawn towards, or your ear is drawn towards. So, Christy, you've set the stage. Now something needs to happen within it. A bird flying across it would give it that little punch, that little bit of a punctuation point that could draw your eye to that, and you go, well, there's the story. This bird is flying in sunset. It's a half story for me. It's like, okay, the sun's going down. Like, that's the sentence. The sun is going down and it's beautiful. What's the rest of the sentence? This bird flew across that really got my attention. There's the other half of the sentence we want to see. Okay? So, how do you fill the rest of the sentence? You wait. And sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. Just wait. What shows up? Maybe an animal in the foreground shows up. Maybe a bird shows up. Maybe you walk into the frame. Don't forget, you can always do that. Always. Take a tripod with you. Walk into the frame. You can be your own subject, your own punctuation point. And that actually is very effective, and there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, there's everything right about it. But give us the rest of the sentence. Okay. Who's next?
All right. Let's take a look at a series that Bargraf did. So, tried documentary-style photography for my visit to Charmindar in the city last week. Relevant feedback is appreciated. Story: it is the closing time of the Charmindar, where market people are laid back, wrapping their equipment, going back to their places. Of course, last-minute vendors like me to enjoy the place. Technique: I tried to use some moderate long exposure to capture that feel of rush. I thought black and white was appropriate as there was no interesting information in the color. And then the camera information.
So can we view those separately?
Photos. Yep.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Cool.
You want me to just cycle through them until you see, or you want to just comment each one?
Well,
yeah.
Okay. Oh. Good. Go ahead. And this was shot on film, right?
Let's see. It was shot with Sony Alpha.
No. Okay. That's fine. It's digital.
Kit.
Okay, go back to the first one. No, the first one.
Sure.
Back. There you go. Okay. That's a cool photograph, and these form a story because there's a series. But the what I like about it is we're just seeing a piece of humanity here. We're seeing a slice, but there's a punctuation point with that light burst, draws your eye to it. You've got, yeah, a lot of stuff going on. And as we go through the photographs, let's go to the next one. In black and white, I agree. Yeah, I mean, okay, I probably take that out of the series, but this is part of your editing process. I feel like we've already seen the starburst. We don't necessarily need that one, but that's cool. What's next? Yeah, this is very different. See, there is a starburst, but there's a feeling. What I like about this is a feeling of, wow, there's a lot of motion here on the right. Is that what we're looking at? That blurriness on the.
Yep. He did say he put long exposure.
Yeah, it's a really long
time because
exposure,
he
which
wanted
is.
to get that feeling of movement and people kind of wrapping up and moving around.
And the thing is, this is one of those examples of a kind of a timelessness. This could be an old, really old photograph from 70 years ago or 100 years ago. Okay, good. Let's see what else on that one. Okay, so it's different, same place, different. Okay, different.
I think just waiting a few minutes. Yeah.
Waiting, stuff's moving around, and yeah, okay. So good on you're putting a photo story together and you're connecting them together. The editing process here. Gosh, there's a lot of noise. Go back to that one. Clean up that noise. If you're gonna leave it there, yeah. Just clean it up. Just because, I mean, it's really noisy, but that's because you're using a high ISO. But you can clean that up. Would be my advice. Noise isn't like grain that has some beauty to it. Okay, cool. All right, so good on your story. You're telling, you're linking them together, and you can put it together with your text, and you've got a little mini story there, which is good. Awesome. Okay.
All right.
Who else have we got?
Our next photo. This is from.
And by the way, you guys in the chat, be sure to put your notes in here, feedback. Mark, I do not agree with what you just said. How dare you? I don't care. Just I'd love to have this be a two-way communication. This I saw before when we were getting set up, and I think this is a really cool photograph. Whose is this?
This is Zubayar, and it's Argentina fans react while watching the FIFA World Cup match in Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Oh, that's why it just kind of threw me off. Like, why are they wearing Argentine colors?
Yep.
That was
Argentine fans in Bangladesh.
That was an unbelievable game. I don't know how many of you saw it. Sunday morning here, 7 a.m. California time. We all got up and just because we have a lot of friends from Argentina, and Argentina won the World Cup for the first time ever. But look at that. Look at these expressions. Now this has got a lot of emotion in it. We were talking about emotional impact. Look at all the various emotions. The guy on the right, almost like anxiety. This guy, with the big buggy eyes, kind of in the middle here, like, whoa, what's going on? The guy, you could pick a whole range of emotions from this one photograph. It's very cool, and you're getting this viewpoint of the audience. Very cool and very smart to turn around and get their expressions. And it reminds me of a painting, actually. I feel like this could easily be a painting. The guy on the right is what really makes it, with his expression like this. Yeah, and that angle. See, that kind of draws your eye back into the frame. Really important, you guys, to remember, you don't want to have things that are pulling your eye out of the frame. This works really well because it actually, almost like a leading line, draws your attention right to his face. He's the star of this photograph. He really is. He's the one that makes that photograph really work. So that's good, and it's a good example of, even though you've got a lot of different faces there, it's really important to have your eye be able to go to one primary point, which is this guy freaking out. and then you kind of travel around from there. Just that's such a key point in your telling a story. Have that main point of interest, and then look around the rest of the frame. And you've done a really good job with
Yeah.
that. So bravo. Okay.
And once again, it goes with that principle of what you've talked about, where it's, you got to wait for that right moment. Because if this guy,
Yeah.
if if his arm wasn't up, this photo, like you said, wouldn't be
Would just be
nearly
flat.
as complete. This is what makes it complete.
That's your decisive moment. Yeah. Good work.
Yeah.
Go Argentina.
All right. Our next one, this is from Kiran. Let me try zooming in a little bit more
Yeah.
on
What are we
this.
looking at on the
Uh,
lower left corner? What is that?
I'm not entirely
It's
sure.
sort
Let
of
me
interesting.
pull up.
Can't quite figure it out because you know what's cool about this photograph? Wow, look at that. You've got leading lines and you've got a subject right in the center there. There's your punctuation point. Yeah. Super cool. Um, and you really the leading lines make you look. It's interesting how they work, right? They're just leading you right to that punctuation point. If you didn't have that, it would be a ho hum. But because you've got that person standing there, you've really composed an interesting photograph. I don't quite understand how what we're seeing on that left-hand orange stuff, because it looks to me like if I go up close, it's sort of cutting into the bottom of the train, which I don't totally understand.
Yeah, unfortunately, the quality of the image itself, and that's not saying like the image they took, but what was posted online is a little
Yeah.
rougher, so it's
Where
kind
we're
of hard to
looking at,
see.
by the time we look at it posted and then we're now broadcasting it, it's gone through a lot of layers of
Yeah,
downgrade. So anyway, I'm not going to get involved in that. I would have to take a look at the actual photograph and see if maybe it would tell me a little bit more of the story, or perhaps get rid of it. It does pull my eye over there. See, that's why I'd kind of be in favor of getting rid of it. You could do that in post very easily. I mean, it's kind of interesting because there's sort of an orange thing there, but it does kind of, you see, it just pulls my eye away from the main point of this photograph is your leading lines of the train going to the guy standing there. And I would just stick with that. Think of it as words. If you're telling somebody, hey, look here, look there. Okay, look here, look there. Look here, look there. Well, wait a minute, where? Here or there? Give them one thing to do. People, respond well when they have one thing that they should be doing. That's why we say, when you're putting an ad together, for instance, you give a call to action. Do one thing. What do you want me to do? Don't like, hey, subscribe and then buy this and do that. We make that mistake all the time. Give people one thing to do, right? And it simplifies and it makes it easier for them to comply with what you want. So it's you go with what your eye is telling you, and boom, you can have that really great photograph. Okay, good. So who is next?
this is from Grace, and she put for her caption, North Beach walkabout. My first thought was to turn this into a black and white to enhance the shadows.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Grace. And I probably walked by this particular church here. Yeah, okay, great. As far as geometric forms, let's get a center of interest, though. Okay? A person would be perfect, or a dog. Some life form that's like your center of interest. against this geometry would make it, a full story. So you've heard me say this, just be patient or walk into the frame yourself. You could even be standing looking at it, we could see you silhouetted, for instance, which actually could be very effective because we're already kind of looking at, like you said, a black and white. So, just think about different ways that you could put that extra bit into your frame. And a lot of times it is just about waiting. Okay, who is next? We got time for a couple of more.
All right. So this was kind of an interesting discussion that was kind of brought up. So if people are involved, they'll probably know that a big topic recently has been the concept of AI art. So art that's kind of taken. And so somebody had been experimenting with that, and they were kind of wondering about a conversation related to it. And we don't have to get like super deep into it now.
Yeah.
But I know that, there's a lot of issues with like, the AI, the way that these programs work is they literally take from other artists. So it is really stealing and such. But one of the things that I see a lot of my friends, and this leads into the next photo I want to bring up, is the idea that like, photography is art, and art, at its core, is about communication.
Yeah.
And what can an AI do to communicate? So, you can see something like this, and maybe it's interesting, but there's no communication going on here.
Yeah.
As opposed to, now here, our friend Ram Pariv has put up this image, and I just kind of think about how, like, this is really cool. It looks like you've got 3 images. And even though it may not be what, like, your preference, a lot of people may not like this as much. If an AI did it, it just wouldn't be anything. But this was, Ram had a message that he wanted to communicate, and this was the way he chose to do it. And that makes it infinitely more interesting than anything that an AI art makes, in my opinion. That was just kind of some 2 cents I wanted to throw in.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I'm not. I probably would never create a photograph that was just AI. As opposed to this, look at David Hockney. You might bring up Jared. Might just
I'll bring it up.
Google his stuff.
Hockney?
He's got David Hockney, amazing artist. And so what he's done, there's lots of different versions of this. Let's see if we can find the one that's what it is.
No, I know one of his.
He's taken
works,
hundreds of photographs and put them together into a scene. And there's one in the desert.
Hockney, like collage.
Yeah. Let's see if you bring them up. There's one in the desert. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, yes.
Click on that top one and see if you can bring it up.
Working on bringing it up. My internet's a little slow at the moment. But.
So this is kind of like, it's completely not artificial intelligence whatsoever. He took hundreds of photographs that are really, any one of them would be just kind of a snapshot on its own, but he glued them together. I think it's fascinating what he did here. I want to actually try this sometime. It's just an example of kind of, this to me is the other side of what we're seeing here with the AI. And this, there you go. Okay, so just hundreds of photographs. See, you can see each one of those is a photograph glued down. I think it's brilliant. I think it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is this is an artist, at work here, and he took all those photographs. Yep. I would go in that direction rather than using computer generated stuff. That's my recommendation. Okay. Who else have we got? We got a few more. Stuart is in Cambridge, Minnesota. 5 degrees below zero. Whoa. Thanks for joining us, Stuart, and
Yeah.
glad you're out of the cold.
All
One
right, we've
more.
got one more going here, and
Okay.
it is our good friend Andrew. Now, as some people know, Andrew has been working on his series on the border, and he has shown us some great images he took at a migrant camp in El Paso.
Oh yeah, so he's been working on this whole
So,
border thing. Yeah,
yes.
telling
And
a
so
story.
I thought we could go through these and then we can go through some of the
Yeah.
individual ones.
These are, it's a photo essay, so they're not standalone photographs necessarily. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Uh oh. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a fan of your story here. This is probably the most interesting photograph so far as a standalone photograph. The guy clearly is your center of interest here holding up his hand. And then you've got layers. You've almost got some frames within frames there. So that has a lot of interest to me, and a lot of texture with the building. Definitely black and white makes that work really well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, you're putting a story together, you might want to edit out. You put them together and you go, well, does this help or not? Does this help this story or not? This one's pretty interesting. It's a pretty new car. I mean, look at that. It's not an old junker.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, to me, it's like a story of like, what is this person doing with this pretty fancy, new, relatively new Honda here with a bunch of clothes sort of thrown on the hood? That's a story. Something went really wrong here. Anyway, that's kind of where you're building as a story. You've got these different images. Yeah, just keep in mind, you put them down, you put them on a table, you print them, put them on a table, move them around, see how they fit together. If they don't fit at all, get rid of them. It's a lot like video editing. You've got this footage that you've shot, and then you've got to decide if does it help you with the story? Does it fit in? Does it keep your audience moving forward in it, or does it kind of pull out? And that's what you're doing when you're putting a photo story together. Check out our good friend
And I
Dan
would,
Milner.
yes, that was exactly what I was going to say. We've got a lot of videos with Dan where
Yeah,
he goes over those exact things. So,
he's your man. Dan is the man as far as your photo essay goes. He's the guy that you should check in with. Well, good. Thank you, guys. It's been a really great year, in terms of creativity, and not the least of which is our new edition of Create. Hang on a second. The new edition of Create kind of has been, this is my passion right here. That word, in overcoming fear to unleash your creativity. You guys, if you don't have a copy of this, please head over to Amazon. Jared could put the link up there. If you do have a copy, get one for a friend. Give it to them. I've had people tell me, I got 5 of these. I have a story, interesting story. Somebody I don't know at all somehow got a hold of me and said, their dad found the book and gave every member of the family a copy of the book a few Christmases ago. And this is our 2022 edition. You guys should really own it, and you should be doing the exercises in the book if you want to bump your creativity up. And we will be doing a course on that. It will be coming along pretty soon. It's on the top of my list. Okay, well, listen. Oh, thanks, Mike.
Mike says that he got it and he loved it.
Most excellent. Thank you, Mike. Good. Appreciate it. And you guys can help me out. Just tell your friends, you can always put what would really be cool, and people have done this, take a photograph with you in the book, put it up on your social media, and whatever note underneath it you want. Okay, you can put it on Instagram. Make sure you tag Marc Silber there so we can see it. Okay, well, I think that's it for 2022. Can you believe it? And I want you guys to have happy holidays. Where, this is the time of year where you really want to be thinking about family, spending time, like enjoying this one season. It's going to be, with a flick of an eye, it's over with. What I like about it, though, is we go, in the new year, and then immediately we're kind of into, like, what are we going to do with this year? We're into a newness. So that's something I want you to celebrate and think about. What are your plans for this new year? I always put my plans together at this time of the year, what we're going to do for the new year. And thank you, Grace. Thank you, guys. And you've got a bunch of different things that you can do. And don't forget, you can get our stuff for 75% off. Okay. I think that's it, Jared. We got anything else?
Nope, I think that's it.
I think we're good for now.
Fantastic end to your year.
Absolutely. And as always, you could definitely subscribe, which we didn't say before, and enable the bell so you don't miss any of our shows. You can like and leave your comments. I love to hear from you guys. And not the least point is, remember to get out and capture your own images of life. Take care, you guys. Love you. Stay warm. Stay safe. Stay creative. Happy holidays.